You're listening to Romancing in Paris on Paris Underground Radio.
Hello, and welcome to the Romancing in Paris podcast. I'm your host, Lily Heise. In this podcast, we'll be traveling around the city as I pick out my top romantic spots per arrondissement. You don't have to visit these places only as a couple. Exploring them can be the expression of your own love of Paris. Are you ready to get romancing in Paris? Hello, and welcome back to Romancing in Paris. I hope you've been able to enjoy some of the places featured in previous episodes. If you're new to the podcast, please go back and check them out. There are now almost 50 episodes, and thus dozens of different cool and special romantic places to discover in Paris. In the last episode on the Parc Rive de Seine, we visited a sort of all-in-one date spot. And today's venue is somewhat similar. We're heading back to the second arrondissement, which, despite being Paris's smallest district, has a number of great romantic spots. Among these is a type of architectural structure for which the district contains the most of in all of the city. Grab your chérie, we're going to the passageway Panoramas. In the first half of the 19th century, covered passageways were all the rage in Paris. A dry, clean, and often elegant place to go shopping. Over 150 popped up around the city, but predominantly in the Grand Boulevard Opera District. Now, much of the second and parts of the ninth. However, with the invention of the department store, a large building which could contain many more shops than a simple lane, these arcades gradually declined, and many were even torn down. Luckily, there are a few dozen which still exist, and of these, we visited the chic Galerie Vivienne in our first episode on the second. The Galerie Vivienne has been revamped a few times and is really pretty. This is not the case for all of the former passageways, and in fact, I think the Passage des Panoramas best evokes this turbulent history the passageways have had. It is still somewhat run down, but of all the passageways, it certainly has the best dining options, and a wide range to suit all styles and budgets, which is why I chose to highlight it in this episode. The Passage des Panoramas is also one of the oldest of the city's arcades. It has a rich and fascinating history, which I will touch on before we visit it. The passageway extends 133 meters from the Boulevard Montmartre, connecting up in an L shape with the Rue de Montmartre to the east. It was designed by architect François-Jean Delannoy. The passageway was opened in 1799 and quickly became a popular destination for Parisians. Next door to the passageway was the famous Théâtre des Variétés, which still exists today, and which, at the time the passageway was built, was another reason why the passageway got to be so popular. Throughout the 19th century, the Passage des Panoramas played an important role in the city's cultural and social life. Many famous writers, artists, and intellectuals frequented the arcade, including Victor Hugo, Charles Baudelaire, Émile Zola, and Jules Verne. It was often the site of lively debates and discussions, which marked the 19th century. The arcade has been featured in works of literature, like in Zola's novel Nana, and in art, including several paintings by the Impressionist artist Gustave Caillebotte. Over the years, the Passage des Panoramas has undergone many changes and renovations, especially following the decline of passageways in the city, as I mentioned above. But it has managed to retain much of its historic charm and character. and it is seeing a new life for itself in the 21st century due to the increasing amount of contemporary restaurants which line it. Have I whet your appetite? I think it's time we take a stroll down the passageway, and be sure to come on an empty stomach. I'd suggest starting with the north entrance of the Passage, off of the busy Grand Boulevard, which was one of the most popular places to stroll and for cafes in the mid-1800s. The boulevard changes names along its route. Here, it's the Boulevard Montmartre, and the entrance to the passageway is at number 11. Now, its entrance looked much different in the past than it does today. When it first opened, the entrance was flanked on either side by two large rotundas, which were painted on the inside with panoramic scenes of Paris, Rome, Jerusalem, and other important big cities. These towers were torn down in 1831, but fortunately the passageway itself was spared this destruction. While you're walking down the passageway, you'll notice some stamp collecting shops, which are prevalent in the area as the main auction house, Drouot, is found just north of here. There were also some bookshops and other curious boutiques you can stop to take a gander in or simply do some window shopping. Now, just inside the entrance of the passageway on the left, you can peer into the windows of Victoria Station. This themed restaurant is designed to resemble an old-fashioned train station, complete with a replica steam engine and vintage train cars. It's richly decorated with antique train memorabilia, including vintage signs, luggage, and conductors' hats. It has a menu of French and international cuisine. You might not be coming here exactly for the food, but if you're looking for a unique or original date night, this could be a good option. A little further down from Victoria Station, on the same side, is 1&1, a modern burger joint which serves some of the best burgers in Paris. Maybe not the perfect option for a first date night, but if you want to change from routine or have a real hankering for a burger, this is the place to go. On the other side of the passageway is Canard et Champagne, which you might have guessed from the name, is a modern French restaurant specialized in excellent quality duck, served in various forms, from pâté to maigre de canard, and why not have some bubbly to go with it? It has a refreshed old-school style decor and large windows looking out onto the passageway, which makes it a nice option if you're looking for a modern French meal. Next up, back on the left side of the passageway, is Racines, which means roots in French. It's a small, intimate restaurant that's much loved by Parisian foodies. It focuses on natural wines and has an excellent menu of seasonal market-driven cuisine. Just past this is the Bar des Variétés, more of an old-school venue. Think wooden tables with red and white checkered tablecloths. Here you can enjoy a meal of traditional French classics like escargot and beef tartare, which you can choose to have in the reasonably priced fixed menus, and enjoy either inside or out on the few tables in the passageway. A little further up and to the right is Café Sterne, a trendy Italian restaurant located in a beautifully restored 19th century former printing workshop called the Imprimerie Graveur Sterne. Look out for its historic sign. The restaurant's interior features a stunning stained glass ceiling, antique mirrors, and dark wood paneling. The menu includes a variety of chic Italian dishes, including handmade pasta, risotto, and pizza. These are slightly on the pricier side, but you're paying for the lovely stylish setting.
If you're enjoying this episode of Romancing in Paris, you may be interested in our sister podcast, Don't Miss This. It comes out every Sunday and has a fabulous roundup of the best and coolest events taking place in Paris during the week. Romancing in Paris will be right back after a word from our sponsors. And now, back to Romancing in Paris.
Across from this is Astaire, a French restaurant which, for me, offers the perfect blend between a classic bistro and a cool contemporary locale. The restaurant's interiors have marble floors, plush velvet chairs, and a stunning Art Deco bar, with the odd eclectic modern item thrown into the mix. The dining room is bathed in natural light thanks to large windows facing the passageway. The menu includes somewhat creative takes on traditional French cuisine, available at prices that won't break the bank. So many great date night options all in one place. It might actually be the place in Paris which has the best concentration of romantic restaurants within such close proximity to each other. I would recommend reserving at least a few days prior, or if not a week or two, at any of these places if you're coming for dinner. But for lunch, you might be lucky just walking in. Now, if you haven't planned to come here for a meal, you can still enjoy the passageway. I take a little offshoot down the lane next to Astaire. Not many people take this, and it has a bit of a mysterious allure, and could be the perfect place to steal a kiss. Around the corner from this is the modern coffee shop Culotte, where you can get a good quality coffee to go, or sit down for a drink, snack, or light meal. If it's wine you're after, you can stop for aperitivo at Quanstant Vino, an Italian wine bar and restaurant found at the end of the main stretch of the passageway. No matter how you enjoy the passageway, merely passing through it or sitting down for a beverage or meal, it's bound to create the perfect setting for a lovely moment exploring the Second District. Thank you for listening to this latest episode of Romancing in Paris. If you're looking for more great date ideas in the City of Love, be sure to check out my website, Je T'aime Me Neither, which has a wide array of unique suggestions from exploring hidden gardens to the best romantic bars in the city. Until next time, happy romancing in Paris.
This episode of Romancing in Paris was produced by Jennifer Garrity for Paris Underground Radio. For more on this show and shows like it, please visit parisundergroundradio.com.